The internet is a dangerous place. There you can find all kinds of people with every flavor of dark content you can imagine. From demon summoning devil worshippers, also known as D&D players, to violent terrorist training organizations, better referred to as gamers. But there is an even darker area coming to the surface in more recent times. Cults of people worshipping digital entities. Why? We intend to find out, though evidence suggests that their goal is to summon a satanic spirit to occupy the very digital entities that they worship. Tonight, we intend on peeling back this curtain and exposing the horrifying truths of these seemingly innocent anomalies. We'll dive into the history of how they took off, the dangers of even glancing at one, and even interview one of the victims. All that and more tonight on
Vtubers, Avatars of the Devil.
First things first, we needed to understand and define exactly what we were dealing with. A VTuber is an internet phenomenon that has been growing in more recent times. They are individuals pretending to be some form of character from their imagination and have given it a digital form. Many refer to these forms as waifus. This term dates back to the medieval period, when nobility would keep around mistresses. The first wife was merely referred to as such, but the mistresses took on the title of waifu so that others knew that they were taken by a nobleman despite being unmarried. We believe that the term came back into being because many of the people who worship these entities worship several of them, just as the nobleman had several wives. This also leads us to assume that if these are the waifus, then there must be a primary wife. Some insist that the primary wife is their actual wife. However, after deeper research, we have determined that few of these worshippers are married at all. So who was the primary wife? A question we will have to get back to as we learn more. Now that we understand what they are, let's look at where they came from. Back in 2016, a company by the name of Activision launched a subsidiary referred to as Kizuna Eye Incorporated.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
It was a small studio with the intent of creating a virtual idol for the people of Japan to worship. It blew up in a small way and started laying the foundation for forming new versions of these religious cults. Within the coming years, many would come forward to create their own versions, but none of them could draw enough attention to be truly dangerous, until more recently. In December of 2019, an individual by the name of EYYO launched a new subsidiary known as HoloLive, under the parent company Kumar Corp. His vision was simply to create an internet idol group similar to what Activision had done before. But the devil had other ideas. Not long after the launch of HoloLive, many of the talents began to sway away from EYYO's dream, becoming more vulgar and many times even sexual in order to draw in more eyes. Evidence suggests that this is when the cult-like attitudes and mentalities began forming within these small communities, and coincidentally enough, is also when they started to gain major followings. Odds are, this is no coincidence, and the involvement of demonic entities is most likely the culprit. Finally, one more perfect occurrence had to happen in order to usher in the wave of occultism we see today: coronavirus. As a devastating and horrifying plague swept the globe, many were trapped inside, desperately looking for any form of entertainment to cling to. This is when the entities at HoloLive, as well as several other independent entities, began to really take off. Was this a mere coincidence? We leave that for you to decide. But it would take more than a few desperate teenagers locked in their room to give the devil all the attention he desired. That's where YouTube stepped in to assist the spreading of the Dark Lord's word. YouTube personally rigged their system so that it would only take one click, whether purposeful or not. After that one click, YouTube flooded the victim with constant content revolving around these entities. It was so vicious that it was dubbed the name Rabbit Hole, named after the cult movie Alice in Wonderland, about a girl who was dragged to the depths of hell by a demon rabbit. This naming shows self-awareness within their communities. They clearly are aware they are being manipulated by the devil, but show no care. The era of the Antichrist must clearly be upon us. But don't take our word for it, because tonight we managed to get an interview with one of the victims of this. He asked his name to be pulled, so we merely referred to him as NULL, as to not give our informant's name away. But before we pop into the interview, a word from our sponsor. This docu-series is brought to you by Event 42 NULL, a fabulous YouTube channel that creates interesting and humorous content. They were kind enough to sponsor this docu-series, and we hope you show them your support by liking the video, subscribing, and leaving a comment for feedback. We have also been informed to tell you that this channel also exists on Twitch under the same name. We thank this sponsor for all they've done for us, and now, back to the interview. So let's start this off easy. Null, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fairly well. I'm kind of excited for the interview because not a lot of people pay me any mind, so it's kind of exciting to actually, have some attention on me,
He clearly was nervous about what could happen to him if he was caught. Right. So let's get into our first question then. How did you get dragged into, or find your way into this community?
Oh, actually, way back when, I can't remember exactly when, it was before Hololive EN, YouTube pushed me a video by one of the creators named Nyanners. It was an out of context thing, and it was really funny to watch, and so after that, stuff just kept showing up in my feed, and I kept watching. It was a good time. I just kind of drifted through the sphere after that,
A clear victim of the YouTube system. This just goes to show how easy it is to get sucked into this rabbit hole. But he mentioned a specific entity, so let's find out about this one. This, Nyanners, was it? Could you tell us a little more about it?
Okay, well, calling her an it is kind of rude, but sure. She's a VTuber who makes a lot of kind of humor-driven content. She acts just goofy on camera for fun, and she also sings and stuff and has a tendency to get really drunk, and it's hilarious.
We dug into Nyanners a little more off camera in order to ascertain the truth behind her, and what we found was horrifying.
The way to get a girl pregnant is to pee into her butt. So that's why people put on a condom, so that the pee doesn't get into the butt. It holds it like a balloon. This is important information. You can wear one for fun too. Just put a condom on for fun and pee in it, and tie it off like a water balloon and throw it out your window onto someone.
A truly horrifying demon. We contacted the Vatican after this discovery, but they have yet to reach back out to us. Yes, that does sound quite adorable. But on to the next question. Many people believe that VTubers are overly sexual and that they're using this to further their own goals. What would you say your response is to that kind of statement?
Overly sexual? I mean, I don't deny that their humor can be a little promiscuous, but it's kind of all just in good fun. I don't think any of them are actually over-sexual. And to be honest, it's kind of none of my business or yours anyway. As for if I believe they are using it as a form of manipulation, I don't know how to put this politely, but let's just say I don't necessarily think they think about it too much. I think they just say things they find funny, and a lot of that just happens to be lewd.
Let's dig into that a little more. Have you ever thought of any of these VTubers in a lewd or sexual way?
No, absolutely not. I mean, yeah, they say jokes and stuff, but it's not like any of them are actively trying to make you view them that way. That's not their goal. They're just having fun.
You say that, Mr. Null, but what would you have to say if I mentioned a name like, I don't know, Project Melody? We do thorough research on all of our topics here, and we weren't going to allow him to dodge out of the question so easily.
Okay, that isn't fair. She's literally porn. If I didn't pop chub every now and again whenever she's on, frankly, I would be insulting her.
So you do admit, Mr. Null, that you have viewed this individual in a lewd or sexual way?
Alright, you want to gaslight me? Sure. You want to play that game? We'll play that game. Yes, sir, I have viewed Melody's content in a perverse or sexual manner and enjoyed it. Do you have a problem with what I do in my spare time, sir?
The interviewee was becoming agitated, but we got what we needed. It was clear that these entities were using sex to push their agenda and gain an audience. Okay, Mr. Null, I believe you're becoming a little too aggressive. We're gonna have to cut this interview short, but thank you for your time.
Oh, and now you're just gonna run away. Yeah, fucking journalists. Get what they want and leave. Fuck context, am I right?
He was becoming more and more aggressive. We cleared out of there quickly, as it would seem that his brainwashing was beginning to drive him to violence, but we got several questions answered. We even confirmed our suspicions about the potential of this being not just a demonic cult, but a demonic sex cult. But what does all this mean for you? How can you combat it? And how can you protect your kids from falling victim to these horrific entities? Unfortunately, we're out of time for today, but be sure to join us next time when we tackle those exact issues. We'll see you again soon on
Vtubers, Avatars of the Devil.